All right, so get this. Leather,
Okay.
but not just like, your average jacket. We're talking about the folks who actually like hunt down the good
The
stuff.
people who find the leather. Yeah.
Exactly. Leather raw materials purchasing
Oh,
managers.
wow.
I know, right? We got this career guide sent in, and I gotta be honest, I thought it'd be kind of, well, boring.
Yeah, I get it.
But man, was I wrong. This whole world is way more interesting than I ever would have thought.
It's a whole hidden world. Most people probably don't even think twice about it, right?
Right.
Like how that super soft leather gets into their, I don't know, their favorite bag or whatever.
Right. I mean, you see the final product, but all that behind the scenes stuff, the planning, oh man, the negotiating,
Oh, yeah.
wild. It's like, I don't know, chess, but with huge animal hides instead of little pawns.
Exactly. And this guide, it's like it gets into all the details,
Yeah.
like trying to figure out what leather's going to be in next year.
Oh, forecasting. Yeah, I saw that.
And then the whole like buying process on top of that. We're talking serious money here. These managers, their decisions, huge impact, like dominoes, but for leather.
Speaking of high stakes, there was something in here about quality control. So it's not just buying like a massive truckload of leather.
No way. Think about it. A company's reputation, it's all about the quality.
True.
These leather raw materials, folks,
Yeah.
they got to know the difference between, say, leather for work boots
Okay.
versus something like, a fancy handbag.
Yeah.
Their eye for detail. That's make or break time for a whole product line.
And that probably plays into the whole sustainability thing even more now, huh? Like if you're already checking the leather's top notch,
Oh, yeah.
you'd want to make sure it came from a good place.
For sure. This isn't like your grandma's leather industry or whatever.
Right.
People are way more aware now. They want to know their stuff is ethically made. And that means the leather in their shoes, their belts. These managers, they're leading that change. Checking out suppliers, making sure things are transparent. It's a big responsibility.
Which explains why they need like a million skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was looking through this guide and it's like, you got to be a master negotiator, market analyst, ethical sourcing guru all at once. Talk about pressure.
Oh, totally. It's a balancing act, no doubt.
Right.
But the people who really kill it in this job, they're one of a kind. They can, crunch numbers with the best of them.
Like predicting those market trends.
Yep. But then they've also got that other side, the people skills, the kind that lets them build relationships with suppliers all over the world, different cultures, languages, you name it.
Okay, so say you are this amazing leather sourcer.
Mm-hmm.
What's the career path look like? Straight to the top, corner office, decked out in, well,
Lever. Had to ask.
It's like most careers. Gotta climb that ladder. This guide, it basically says you start maybe as an assistant buyer, work your way up to bigger and bigger purchases.
Okay. And then who knows? Maybe you end up leading a whole team of these sourcing hotshots.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess those at the top are doing all right for themselves, salary-wise.
Let's just say that designer handbag budget.
Yeah.
It's within reach.
Nice.
But, and this is a big but,
Oh.
the pressure's on constantly. It's like this industry, always changing.
Yeah.
Prices go up and down like a roller coaster. Those trends change overnight.
And don't even get me started on sustainability.
Exactly. Those standards, they're only getting tougher. You got to be ready to adapt, always be learning to stay ahead of the game.
On top of all that, didn't this guide mention something about travel? Are we talking like factory visits or like fancy leather fashion shows in Italy?
Actually, a little both.
Get out.
Yeah, a lot of these managers, they head out to the tanneries, the suppliers, see the leather firsthand,
Makes sense.
build those relationships, face to face.
Yeah.
But it's also about making sure working conditions are good and the environmental impact is low.
Okay, so maybe not always glamorous. But hey, seeing the world and making a difference, I'd call that a win-win.
Hmm.
Speaking of shaking things up, we got to talk about the tech everyone's buzzing about, AI. Are we going to see robots taking over leather sourcing?
Not robots taking over, not yet at least,
Okay.
but AI. AI is definitely changing things up,
Okay.
but it's not about replacing us, the human experts.
Right.
It's more like AI. Imagine AI as the ultimate sidekick for these managers.
Ultimate sidekick. Okay, I like it. So what are we talking here? Like AI bringing them coffee, booking their flights, or is it more, high tech?
Way more high-tech, like serious tech here. Some AI tools, and this RoleCatcher thing's a good example, they're designed to, get this, analyze tons of data.
Mhm.
We're talking about market trends, prices going up and down, even like reviews of different suppliers. It's kind of wild.
So instead of these managers like drowning in spreadsheets all day,
Exactly.
AI can help them cut through the noise so they can actually focus on the stuff that really matters, like building relationships with the suppliers.
You got it. And think about it from the other side, right? You're applying for one of these jobs.
Okay.
RoleCatcher's AI. It can actually help you, like, tweak your resume.
No way.
So it highlights the skills these companies really want to see. Game changers, especially when everyone and their mother wants that job.
Oh, for sure. Okay, but can we switch gears for a sec? I gotta ask about the leather itself.
Go for it.
We keep saying hides, tanneries.
Right.
I realized I don't actually know that much about the different kinds of leather.
Good point. That's something these purchasing managers, they know it all inside and out.
Yeah.
Like this guide was throwing around terms like full grain, top grain, even wet blue. It's like a whole other language.
Right. Is wet blue literally blue leather?
Okay, so picture this. You've got a raw hide, fresh,
Yeah.
wet blue. It's a stage in the tanning process. Basically, they treat the hide so it doesn't, rot.
Right, right.
And it can have this kind of bluish color from the chemicals they use. Like it's the base, the starting point for making the leather we actually see in stores.
Okay, that makes more sense. So wet blue is like the rough draft.
Exactly.
What about those other ones? Full grain, top grain? What's the difference there?
Okay, think of it this way. Full grain comes from the very top layer of the hide. Like sand off all the natural marks,
Yeah, yeah.
It's super tough, and it gets that really nice, like, worn look over time.
Oh, the patina?
Yeah, exactly. Perfect for boots, belts, that kind of thing.
Ah, okay. That explains why my favorite leather jacket, which is super soft, must be made from something else then, huh?
You got it. Top grain, it's also from the top layer, but they sand it, buff it, make it all smooth and even.
Okay.
That's why it's usually for jackets, handbags, stuff like that. Way more flexible, less rough.
Okay, so now I'm picturing these sourcing managers, right?
Uh-huh.
Armed with their fancy AI insights, checking out rolls of this wet blue leather, deciding what's going to be a tough work boot versus like super pricey handbag.
It's pretty cool when you think about it like that.
It's way more involved than I ever would have thought.
And we haven't even gotten into the whole thing about sourcing from different countries, right?
Right.
Each region has its own thing, specialties.
Right.
A manager might be, like, haggling over hides from Italy one day.
Yeah.
Famous for that vegetable tanning,
Yeah.
And then the next. They're dealing with, I don't know, exotic skins from Southeast Asia. It's wild.
So you got to be like globally aware
Well, big time.
and culturally sensitive
Yeah.
on top of everything else.
For sure. And that's where those sustainability questions, they get really real.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just about getting the cheapest price anymore.
Right.
These managers, they got to ask the tough questions
Yeah.
about how the animals are treated, the chemicals used in tanning, even the working conditions in those tanneries. It all matters.
Which brings us back to those certifications you mentioned earlier. Those are key to making sure the leather's, ethically made, right? They're a good place to start, for sure.
Right.
It's like that fair trade thing on coffee,
Yeah.
Seeing that little label from a group you actually trust
Exactly.
tells you someone's at least trying to do things the right way.
Totally. So, like a signal, right? Tells the shopper the company's put in the extra effort. They've met the standards.
Yeah.
You've got groups like, what was it? The leather working group.
Right.
They're all about making tanneries eco-friendly. And then there's REACH.
Reach. Okay, yeah, that one rings a bell. Remind me what that's all about again.
So REACH, it stands for,
Oh, wait. Yeah.
man, it's a mouthful. Registration, Evaluation, Authorization, and Restriction of Chemicals.
Catchy.
Basically, it's this European Union thing, a regulation. They put strict limits on any nasty chemicals in products sold over there.
Okay.
And that includes leather. So if you find REACH-compliant leather,
Yeah.
you can be pretty sure it's not, full of toxic stuff.
Yeah. Got it. That makes sense. But let's be real. With all these different labels and certifications,
That's a lot.
it can feel impossible to keep track as a shopper, How do we make sure we're not getting totally lost in the weeds here?
Honestly, don't be afraid to do a little research yourself.
Okay.
Start with the brand's website. Most companies, if they're serious about sustainability and all that,
Yeah.
they'll have a whole section about it. They'll explain where they get their leather, any certifications, the whole 9 yards.
And if they don't, is that like a giant red flag?
I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker right away,
Okay.
but it's definitely worth digging a little deeper.
Right.
Like shoot them an email, ask them about their policies, their sources, what they're doing to actually be responsible.
So you're saying we as shoppers, we actually have more power than we think.
100%. Every time we choose a sustainable product, it's like casting a vote for a better industry.
I like that.
And companies, they see that.
Right.
They see that shoppers care, and they're going to start changing their ways, even if it costs a bit more upfront.
Which brings us right back to these leather raw material purchasing managers.
Full circle.
It's like they're the ones out there in the trenches, right?
Right.
Trying to juggle like quality, cost, ethical sourcing, making sure the planet's not paying the price for our latest fashion obsession. Who knew a job title could be so, I don't know, important?
It's true.
Yeah.
Processes people. And as more shoppers start to see that, the role of these managers, it's only going to get bigger.
It's been a wild ride, honestly. I started with a simple career guide, and we ended up like diving deep into this whole world of leather, sustainability, the choices we make.
And honestly, we're just scratching the surface.
Right.
Technology keeps changing. People are getting more aware. The leather industry is going to have to keep up, and it'll be interesting to see where things go next.
For sure. So next time you're eyeing up some gorgeous leather good, just take a second. Think about how it got there.
Yeah.
Maybe even ask a few questions,
Yeah, absolutely.
about the people, the process, the whole deal. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking, and keep diving deep.